Hello, everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of Entertainment Weekly's What to Watch. The screaming, the crowd goes wild. This is the show where EW staff help you solve your viewing dilemmas. I'm your host, Gerrad Hall, and I'm joined today by editorial assistant Omar Sanchez, digital writer Maureen Lee Lenker, and senior writer Samantha Highfill. Hey guys, this week sees the return of one of the most talked about series from the past few years, 13 Reasons Why. And this is the final season of the Netflix teen drama, so anticipation is high for how things will wrap up. Sam, you have followed the show from its humble beginnings back in 2017. What can we expect from the final season? Spoiler free, of course.
So much more to talk about, I feel like, is the theme. Every season of this show, I mean, from season one, it was obviously very controversial. A lot of discussion around it. They never took the foot off the gas, I feel like. Season 2 also had a lot of discussion. Season 3, they tackled some other issues. Season 4, they tackle some other issues. It's senior year, you know, it's season 4 years. We're heading towards graduation. We're trying to find out if these kids are going to make it out of high school. Are they going to be okay emotionally, literally, physically?
Yeah. It's a lot for one group of kids in one
school
to go
it's
through.
So right now they're all covering up a murder, essentially. That's how season 3 ended. Sometimes you got to murder a kid, and sometimes you have to blame a different kid for the murder.
Right.
And now they have this guy, Winston, who showed up at the end of season 3, kind of basically calling them out on it. He knows that they framed Monty for Bryce's murder because he was with Monty at the time of Bryce's murder. And so the big question of the final season is basically like, are they going to get away with it? And it's going to be talked about. I'll say that.
Yeah. That's the spoiler-free part of this is very tough because there are certainly some particular episodes that are going to be big topics of discussion.
I mean, it's a sort of thing. They've always taken on these issues. They've always been very bold about them. Regardless of what you think about how they've tackled them, they put so much thought into it. They have so many experts, so many doctors constantly on set. Like, it is a very, well thought out show. They make decisions, but they definitely think and discuss before they make those decisions. And for the most part, I've found most of the series very compelling. And I think how it all wraps up will definitely be talked about. But I don't know. I really like it. So we'll see what people think.
So Sam, I wanted to ask, you're talking about all of the murder that's happening and kind of how things have become increasingly outlandish on the series or more intense. And so I wanted to ask how that compares to another teen drama you and I both love, which is Riverdale, because clearly there's some similarities there.
Oh my God, Riverdale.
Elite on Netflix is another one of those shows
That's
like
true.
That. Murder, drugs, scandal.
I will say no one on 13 Reasons Why wears a huge mask with antlers. So I think it's a little bit more down to earth. But yeah, it kind of, the final season, I'm not going to lie, did give me a little bit of it's 13 Reasons Why, but it's almost got an element of Pretty Little Liars because someone knows what they did, and it's got a little bit. So it's definitely a different feel than the other 3 seasons.
Do you feel like this show, more than some of those others, has been able to open the door to conversation with youth? The target demographic of this audience about issues?
I mean, absolutely. I think that's the thing, that they've kind of always said of whether people hate what they did or love it, they're talking about it. And to some extent, that is a good thing. Because it is a show made for teens. It is watched by young kids, and yet it tackles some really big issues, some of which they're probably facing, some of which hopefully they're not, but we don't know. So I think if nothing else, if you hate the show, whatever you think, you cannot argue that it got some people talking. So hopefully that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The other show we want to talk about this week also involves murder, but with adults, not teens. And this one is also a returning show, but unlike its first season, it has a completely different cast and subject. Omar, what do we need to know about Dirty John, the Betty Broderick story? And does it matter if you've seen the first season?
I would say no. I say it really doesn't matter unless you really want to go into the whole Dirty John of it all, because Dirty John is kind of becoming an anthology series about the Dirty Johns of the world, the sleazy men that just tend to manipulate women and get away with it. But yeah, like instead of 13 Reasons Why with this show, with Betty Broderick's story, it can't be spoiler free because it's already happened. It's a true crime story from 1989. So I would really say, I mean, go ahead and watch it. If you go ahead and watch the first season if you'd like, but the second season honestly can stand on its own, and it's really incredible.
And please correct me if I'm wrong. Doesn't this season kind of start with the murder and then it kind of backtracks and leads up to it?
Well, yes. So you know for a fact towards the premiere, which actually just came out on USA Network last week, that Betty Broderick, so for some of you who don't know, Betty Broderick was charged with murdering her ex-husband and his new wife in 1989. And what you do learn by the end of that episode is that she definitely did it. I think what's really good about how it's set up is that you really get to see how much the divorce part of it, because they're going through a really, really difficult divorce that actually was written about in the LA Times at the time. It was really high profile since the husband was a really prominent malpractice attorney. But it's really a lot more than just the sensationalist parts of it. It's really a nice examination of the divorce process. It's kind of similar to Marriage Story in the way it really is able to look at the divorce process and how much it takes a toll on people. And I honestly think, I mean, shout out to Amanda Peet. I think an Emmy nomination is going to come her way. I mean, she's up there with Connie Britton from season 1 in terms of the performance that she's giving.
Definitely another good one to check out. You guys, we got to take a quick break. When we come back, more answers to the question, what to watch? Welcome back to the show. You know, the summer months were always traditionally a slow season for new TV to watch, but nowadays with so many streaming options and more that are seemingly being added every day, there are just so many shows out there waiting to be discovered. So Maureen, what's been on your watch list these days, whether it's a new show, a classic, or just something you hadn't gotten around to?
Well, I'm really obsessed with Dead to Me. I mean, I fell in love with it last year when the first season debuted on Netflix, and then the second one just dropped at the beginning of May. And there's so many reasons why I love it. It's really digestible because it's 30-minute episodes, so I feel like it's one of those that's perfect for binging. I love the central dynamic between Christina Applegate and Linda Cardellini's characters. Like, the way the show delves into the nuances and complexities of female friendship is unlike almost any other show I've seen on television. And then it adds that extra layer of twistiness and mystery, and just every episode another thing happens where you're like, oh my God, I don't know what to do with this. And James Marsden is so incredible, pulling double duty. I won't ruin for those who haven't watched any of it what that entails, but it is just so genius the way they've played with him as an actor and really allowed him to show his range. And then the last reason that I love it is very personal, in that almost all of it has been filmed in San Pedro, my hometown. Even though they say it's Laguna, it is not. And I love being able to see my neighborhood on television.
Yeah, that is really cool. Yeah, the twists start in episode 1, and I feel like there is a twist every episode, and it's not really like they're not doing it in a way that just like is frustrating. Like, it's very smart, like you said, and it all works so well to the bigger picture. And Christina and Linda are just, I think they have the most one of the most dynamic relationships on TV right now. Their jokes between each other, how they get each other, how they're so kind of dependent on each other, but still very independent women in their own ways. Very complex characters. I love that show a lot, and have been recommending that one. Sam, Omar, you've checked that one out too?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, what's better than one James Marsden than getting two? I mean,
I like the way you think, Omar.
Exactly.
Yeah, I love season 2's focus on orange wine, because I've also had a lot of questions about what the heck is orange wine. Turns out it tastes a lot like white. Do I like it?
Yeah.
I'm still not sure, but I am figuring it out.
It's so funny, like right before the first season or the second season dropped, I was reading about orange wine in a book about how it was really popular with Charlie Chaplin and people in the 20s. And I was like, oh, I don't think this is a thing anymore. Like, this sounds like an outdated thing. And then Dead to Me came out and I was like, oh, yep, no, it's still a thing.
Hopefully, guys, go get a bottle and put it on ice and enjoy it this weekend while you're watching some of the shows that we recommended. On that note, that is our show, everyone. There are lots of new choices out there to check out over the next week, and you can always get daily picks at EW.com and by asking your Alexa or Google Home for our picks via our Watch This daily briefings, or you can subscribe or follow on Google Play, Spotify, and iTunes. I'm your host, Gerrad Hall. Thank you to Samantha Highfill, Maureen Lee Lenker, and Omar Sanchez for talking TV and wine with me. We'll see you next time on What to Watch.